So I was born in Iran. My family immigrated to Calgary, Alberta when I was 4 years old. And I remember not knowing any English when I entered the school system, and that was a really tough thing.
So when we first came to Canada, my family went through a lot of adversity and a lot of hardships, especially for my parents. They came to Canada with no money, little English, so they had to obtain citizenship, learn the language. It was hard to relate to the teachers. It was hard to relate to my friends.
My family decided to move to Canada because starting a life just wasn't really viable where we were at the time with the war and everything that was going on in Eritrea. We had an opportunity to move to Winnipeg. Starting a brand new life, they left almost everything back home. Knew none of the language, didn't know too many people in the city itself.
My mom had to work twice as hard as she was working before in order to be able to provide the same sort of life for me and my brother. And like she was working 12 hours a day, if not more. And it was tough to see her, right? I think especially as immigrants, going through this is really tough because you don't have a support system. You don't have the rest of your family. My mother felt really alone and isolated throughout the entire process. She didn't have anyone to really depend on. She didn't have a super stable job. She didn't know the language very well. It took a few years, but I think my mother really learned how to kind of stabilize herself, how to believe in herself. And throughout the entire thing, she always prioritized me and my brother. She always prioritized taking care of us and making sure that, we were well fed and well taken care of, even if that wasn't easy to do.
And I think one thing that I took away from a young age was that education really is the key for you to kind of claw your way out of this tunnel and into the light. Growing up, I was kind of best friends with adversity, and there weren't many days that we would spend apart from each other. And I think growing up hearing gunshots also was not easy. But what's worse is planning every day to survive, taking the 20-kilometer route to school instead of the 15-minute walk just because you want to avoid some gangs along the way. What's worse is my mother telling me to not look back when you hear a loud bang that's probably just a firework, but in the middle of the day. I think when you come from this community, it becomes very hard to forget these memories, no matter how much time has passed. It was very difficult and challenging for us to come all the way over here.
Looking back at it, there was a lot of pressure. My mom was working to support all of us and then also trying to learn English. And, of course, in Winnipeg, the winters were incredibly harsh. So it's hard to imagine that we really figured it out as a family, but it was tough. The Horatio Alger Scholarship impacted me in many ways. First, of course, that stands out is just being able to go and pursue school and go to classes without having that thought in the back of your mind of how am I going to pay for these classes.
I think learning languages is super important and super cool. And the thing with Ottawa that's very unique is that it's a very bilingual community. Most people that I've met here are bilingual. The city is bilingual. I think it's an amazing environment to be in.
McMaster University is an amazing university, especially for the program that I'm attending, which is the Health Sciences program. And I think Health Sciences has really given me a community where I was able to meet like-minded individuals, people who are driven to constitute meaningful change on a large scale.
I chose UBC because I thought the business program itself was something that I was really interested in. And I know UBC was highly acclaimed in the country, and getting a chance to live in Vancouver was something I definitely was really looking into.
It can be tough when you don't have so many opportunities knocking on your door, and especially like growing up, having to work tons of different jobs in order to, kind of get by. We don't all have the same opportunities, but we all have potential. And so if we give everyone equal opportunities, then we can really see where people can go.
Beyond just the money, the scholarship means that I'm viewed as someone who is capable of making a positive impact on not just my community, but the world at large.